Hi, I'm Stu. I'm a backpacker from England and I've been in Australia for about a month now. And on the 14th of October, the Australian people will go for a vote in a referendum to change the constitution with the following law: to alter the constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and a Torres Strait Islander voice. So why am I doing this video? Now, before coming to Australia, I knew nothing about this referendum, and I'm guessing that majority of the countries around the world outside of Australia didn't know about it either. But since coming here, it's everywhere. It's on the street, it's on the media, it's all over the TV, the news, there's adverts, there's things coming through your door. And I've been told it's causing arguments between family and friends. And even my social media has started showing me things on the yes no vote for this referendum. And you're probably thinking, why does this British person want to talk about an Australian referendum when he's not even an Australian? About 2 weeks ago, I was listening to a British podcast about the news, and a Australian came onto this British podcast to explain what the referendum was about, and he stated, if you voted no, you were racist. Now, that is something that he's told British people, and this is a podcast that would have been picked up from other countries because it is on the BBC. So I thought I'd go into this referendum with a little bit of depth to find out what it is all about. What is the yes vote for, and what is the no vote for? Where am I going to get my information from? Well, luckily enough, the Australian government has sent out the referendum booklet, and I'm going to read this inside and out. It gives you the case for yes, and it gives you the case for no. So, let's start reading. The way this document works is the case for yes is on the left hand side and the case for no is on the right. So as you go through it, you can concentrate on the yes and then you can concentrate on the no. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate just on the yes vote, and I'm going to read it about 3 or 4 times just to get an idea of what they're trying to say. Okay, so I have actually read the yes case 4 times. Now, this document itself, you've got the link just below, and I'll put the link in the descriptions as well, so you can actually read the whole document yourself if you so wish. The main case for the yes is voting yes for unity, hope, and to make a positive difference. It's about recognition of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander persons, listening to advice from the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and giving better results. To me, there is no better case for the yes vote, and they have put a good case forward. However, I have picked up a few things that is a little bit confusing for me as someone that knows nothing about Australian politics, and there will be people out there that'll say, well, don't comment on this. But as an educated person, I should be able to differentiate the yes from the no and understand where they're coming from. So with the yes case, there is one word that comes up all the time, and that is advice. Listening to advice from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, the voice will give advice on key issues facing, and I had a quick look into the federal government to find out if they had any First Nation people amongst the government. And on the screen you can see this is a Australian government website from last year, and it shows you the federal government for a population of Aboriginal of 3.2% of the population. Indigenous MPs make up 4.8% of the government. Now that tells me that there is a voice within the government that could listen to. As I said, I'm British. I'm not too sure how it works, but if they're trying to find out how Indigenous people think and what they want, they've got their own MPs. Don't they work for their own communities? So going back to the yes case. So what is the voice? The voice will be a committee of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who will give advice to the Parliament and government on issues that affect their community. Makes sense? So this committee will include Indigenous Australians from every state and territory, the Torres Strait Islands, representatives from the regions and remote communities. They will include young people and a balance of men and women, but it doesn't state how many. How many people do you need on a committee? And if you're taking a mixture of young and old, male, female, every single state, that's a lot of people, but it doesn't state how many. Another thing that I've read just from the yes case is that they want to listen to the community. They want to help the Aboriginals and Torres Island people. But further on in the document itself, it gives 3 examples of how listening has helped. The examples they give you is for a better health service. They in the southeast Queensland region, the local Aboriginal medical service and the community have worked together to hugely increase the number of an annual health checks from 550 to over 20,000 over 10 years. Does that mean they're listening already? Why put an example of trying to help the community because we're not listening by giving an example of people who have listened over the last 10 years and done something about it? Doesn't make sense. But obviously they've given 3 examples. How many more examples could they have given? Who knows? Another important point that I picked up, and it says in this document, the government from both sides have invested billions in programs that haven't fixed problems or reached communities. So if the Voice Committee is there to give advice, how do we know that it's still going to fix problems or even better, get to the communities? Because if it's not being done before, someone's been taking that money out the way. I mean, I'm not saying it's corruption, but if it's not worked in the past, just because you're going to get advice from a committee of Indigenous people, is it still going to get down to the communities, to the people that need help? And the most important thing that I'm getting from this yes vote in this government booklet is, if they have the yes vote voted through after the referendum, there's nothing in there to say what happens next. There's no numbers, as I've said before. There is no timeline of how things are going to be implemented. There is nothing, absolutely nothing to state. This will be happening once the vote goes through. It feels like that they've got an idea. they've rushed it through without thinking of the future, of what's going to be happening. Now, if I was reading that and it says from day 3 after the vote, we would do this, we would do that, this is how it will work, then they would have the strongest argument for the referendum. But unfortunately, it's just an idea to me. I am now going to go through the no vote. I'll do exactly what I've done with the yes case and just read it, not looking at the yes campaign. And let's see what I think. Well, I've read the no case and I have read it a few more times than I read for the yes case, and the reason I tried to read it more closely was to find out if you vote no, are you a racist, which is what I'm getting from the media. And I'm from UK, as a multicultural society that we live in Great Britain. There's nothing that states racism in this. In fact, one of the first opening lines that they have in the no case is, we all want to help Indigenous Australians in disadvantaged communities. So there is a lot to unpick in the no case, and I think I could take a while to explain it all, but I'm just going to find a few key points which has got me going, ooh. One of the first things that I read that really sort of raised my eyebrows was, no details have been provided on how many members of the voice would be chosen or how it would operate. Australians are being asked to vote first before these details are worked out, and that's one of the things I picked up from the yes vote. But the government won't reveal key details before the vote. Now, the best way of putting it forward, according to the document, is you wouldn't buy a house without inspecting it or a car without test driving it. Australians shouldn't be asked to sign a blank cheque. Another case for voting no is, according to the document, it won't help Indigenous Australians. It quotes here, there are currently hundreds of Indigenous representative bodies at all levels of government, along with the National Indigenous Australian Agency, which has 1,400 staff. And if you turn the page a couple, there's another quote that says, this year the government has allocated $4.3 billion for the National Indigenous Australians Agency. Where does the voice come into this? If there's already an agency where the yes vote has said that money is not reaching the less advantaged communities, and they've got all this money, what's the voice going to do? Are they going to take over? Are there going to be another branch of the government alongside? Again, there is no details. And according to this, they don't know how much additional funding would be allocated to the voice. Would that be additional funding as well as other forums? So another thing that I've picked up is the voice model covers all areas of the executive government. Now, in the words of a constitutional law professor who actually supports the voice, he states, I think it's fatally flawed because what it does is retain the full range of review of executive action. This means the voice can comment on everything from submarines to parking tickets. We will have regular judicial interventions. So the voice is going to be covering everything within government, and if it doesn't agree, they'll intervene. If the voice does intervene in governmental processes, the Australian Constitution is our most important legal document. Every word can be open to interpretation. Now, if the voice gets put into the Constitution, enshrining a voice in the Constitution means it's open to legal challenge and interpretation, not by the government, but by the High Court, by judges. Legal experts don't agree and can't know for sure how the High Court would interpret such constitutional change. Now, when you put them last two things I've mentioned together, and as I said, I'm only going by what's in the official booklet given by the government. If, for example, the Australian government decided, say, and I'm thinking off the top of my head here, Australia will have a new public holiday every year, and it's going through the process, they have a date, and then the voice comes forward and says, no, we're not happy with that date, it clashes with something that we celebrate. And the government says, no, we've listened to your comments. Does that mean the voice can then go to the High Court and say, we're not happy about this, get a sympathetic judge who will agree with them, and then block that proposal for a public holiday? If you've got a small percentage of the population having that power, will that not cause division within Australia? Who knows? All I know is that on the 14th of October, Australia goes to the polls and they will decide for themselves. How would I vote? I'm British. I have no vote. All I'm trying to do is understand what this yes-no vote is all about. I understand where the yes vote is coming from, that they need to have the Indigenous people of Australia recognised, and I still don't understand how in 2023 that has not already happened. But then again, I understand the no vote, that it's getting rushed through. Maybe the no vote is overreacting and thinking of all the horror things that could happen that won't. We don't know until the vote comes through. One thing that I do know is that both sides, yes and no, do recognise that the Indigenous peoples of Australia need to be recognised. The no vote on the last page has said, this referendum is not about simply recognising Indigenous Australians in the Constitution. That can be achieved without tying it to a risky, unknown and permanent voice. Recognition has the widespread support of Australians. However, this voice proposal is the problem. So even the no vote recognise that recognition needs to happen. Now, I know that I will get a lot of comments on this. I know that there'll be a bit of abuse, saying how dare a British person get involved in Australian matters. I'm not getting involved. I'm just reading what I've read from the government, and because it's affecting so many people, I just wanted to try and understand and see how it's going to work. Unfortunately, I'm going to be leaving the country on the day of the referendum, and I'm going to be heading to a new country because I am a backpacker. This vote I will be following. I will not be doing any more videos on the referendum because it's not my place. But if you want to follow me on my adventures as I travel around the world, just press that subscribe button. If you thought this video was thought provoking, press that like button. If you are going to send me abuse because I don't understand what I'm talking about and I'm British, how dare I comment on things like this, keep the swearing down. But until next time, bye bye for now.